Imagine a young man from the gritty streets of Brooklyn destined for greatness. Picture a force of nature in the ring, a knockout artist who could end a fight with a single punch. Envision a champion whose fame and fortune were matched only by his self-destruction. This is the story of Mike Tyson. From his humble beginnings to his meteoric rise and tragic fall, Tyson's life is a roller coaster of triumphs and tribulations. Join us as we explore the complexities of this legendary figure, delving into his troubled childhood, his reign as the undisputed heavyweight champion, and his subsequent struggles with personal demons.
Throughout nearly the entirety of his boxing career, Mike Tyson was one of the most feared men on the planet. His stellar knockout record and storied championship history lead many to believe that he is the greatest heavyweight boxer of all time. Tyson's record-setting career in the ring and out of it has not been without its fair share of controversies and difficulties, however. He has lost loved ones, spent time in prison, and more generally dealt with the ugly face of racism all too often. Below is Tyson's story, along with some inspirational lessons we can take from his story. Before Mike Tyson was born in Brooklyn on June 30th, 1966. At the age of 2, his father abandoned his family, leaving them in an increasingly precarious financial situation. As a result of this, Mike and his family were forced to move to Brownsville, which is an area well known for its high crime rate. During his early days in Brownsville, Mike was not the chiseled athlete we know today. Rather, he was much smaller and had a nervous disposition to boot. Mike knew that in this concrete jungle, he had to adapt. Therefore, Mike developed a unique style of street fighting. Even though he only did so to avoid harassment, it landed him in more trouble than he bargained for. Mike became involved with gangs at a very young age. By the time he was only 13, he had been arrested 30 times. Eventually, his behavior saw him end up in a reformatory school. Based on the trajectory of his life at this point, Mike's meeting with his counselor Bob Stewart must have felt like meeting a patron saint. Bob saw the raw power and energy that Tyson had. He wanted him to channel it correctly. When he eventually agreed to train Mike, he did so only under the agreement that Mike would stay out of trouble and put more effort into his studies. Mike agreed and began to make strides. Although he was initially classified as having a learning disability, Mike brought his reading ability up significantly in a short space of time. He became insatiable when it came to boxing. He wanted to practice and learn as much as he possibly could. Eventually, when Bob really started to believe Tyson could become a world beater, he recommended him to Constantine Damato. He saw Mike's talent and endless potential. He set very difficult training schedules for the young man, who was as young as 14 at the time. As well as this, he was put up against boxers much older than him. Sadly, Tyson's positive trajectory in life did not last all too long. Just when he was beginning to enjoy his regimented but strenuous existence under the training of Damato, his mother passed away. This threatened to draw him back to his gang days he would much rather have forgotten about. Tyson was kicked out of the school Damato had entered him into due to violent outbursts. It seemed like the death of his mother undid a lot of the work Tyson had put in his attempt to become a regimented, ambitious individual. Although Mike eventually calmed himself and continued his studies, there were more setbacks to come. He began to train for the Olympic trials, but he hardly looked promising. He even lost, which seems so far attached from the image most of us have in our heads of a young, hungry, determined Mike Tyson. Damato and Tyson agreed that it was time to take a different route. At the age of 18, Mike Tyson turned pro. After Mike Tyson's first professional fight ended in the first round, his quick fists and impressive defense for a man of his size was noted by many, earning him the nickname of Iron Mike Tyson.